Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. We are starting out very briefly today on the surface of the moon at Rosalina Memorial Research Station, where we have some things to take care of, namely our supply pod, our Victor pod over there in the top left of your screen, I guess, is empty enough to where we can get rid of it. All of our supplies have been topped off. Everything has been moved over into the base. We've used up most of what we're going to use. There's a little excess water, which I guess we need to readjust the ratios because the CO2 scrubbers on this station produce palatable water. So we're going to start by shifting some resources around. I've sped this a little bit up because it's ever so riveting. We need to put a little bit of fuel in the supply pod so that we can dispose of it kinetically as per usual, and the fueling of these very small tanks tends to take a very long time, but about 250 liters of Aerozine 50 and nitrogen tetroxide should work out pretty well as far as getting that thing up to an altitude and a speed where it will completely obliterate itself on impact. Now, to ensure this, we tend to not watch the impacts anymore because sometimes destruction is not complete, and this is one way of making sure of it. While we've got these windows up, we might as well top off some of our science in our research lab so we can up that data rate, 39.10 science per day, which is a pretty good turnaround. We've already actually farmed about 1,000 science just from this crew. So we're going to offload whatever water we can from this supply pod, and it looks like we're all topped off. I know the lunar Uber is topped off because as we were topping it off, and refueling it, one of the landing legs exploded, which is one of our objectives for this EVA. So we're going to make sure that we have a drill, and I'm going to turn you over to old me. All right, very slowly down the ladder. Have to be careful in these things. Moon dust is sharp, apparently. So we need to unhook the supply pod, probably unhook the rover, and make sure that we can get things squared away on that front. So we'll speed this part up a little bit because walking on the moon is tedious as hell, and there's no running allowed on the moon or the lifeguard will yell at you. So we will unhook our I guess our disposal unit, which is no longer really used for disposal, but it is a handy thing to have sitting around. Unhook it, jump in the driver's seat, and pull around. If we're going to pull a landing leg off of the supply pod for use on Lunar Uber 2, we should probably pull one that faces away from the research station, so if it tumbles and rests on those bottom tanks, we can still get rid of it. So we're a little too far to mount it on the rover as we would like to, so we'll just shift over before it can dance its way out of range here. There we go. Landing leg scavenged. Excellent. So now we'll hop back in the rover, fold this landing leg up. I would like to install it in the retracted position and go get ourselves to a safe distance so that we can dispose of this supply pod efficiently and without incident. Let's not drive through the pipe. I know it's possible, but it just seems weird. So we'll just make a very tight circle around the Lunar Uber 2 here, very carefully avoiding anything that might be delicate and placing the rover hopefully in the path of this Lunar Uber should it decide to tumble down. Installation is a breeze. All 4 screws Phillips head now installed, and it's time to get this thing extended and deployed. So, old me, go. All right. First thing, let's reduce our part count. Get rid of the supply pod. So, all right. That's all said and done. Wait for our 1 second delay. SAS is on. RCS. Any second now. It'll happen, I promise. I guess not. Maybe I didn't hit the key. There we go. Now we're armed. All right, so fuel is set. There's ignition. Spools. Boom. All right, and it's off. Wow. So close to 70 TWR. Let's just make sure we angle it away from the station and flame out and switch back. Yes. It's always nice to get that before you hit that 2.4 kilometer render range limit. That will dispose of itself. We just got a lot of other stuff to do, and I just don't have a whole lot of time to do it. So we're going to need 2 Kerbals for this. We're going to get our pilot, Marta Bariova. Anyway, Again, moonwalks, tedious, sped up footage. They always look so happy trotting across the moon in 4x sped up, speddy epi bits. And for the long jump, nails it. And we'll just have her get into the cockpit section so that she can be there to. Oh no. Yeah, I forgot about that. I tried to switch vessels, it switched me to this, and then I was out of range. But now we are back. The plan here is that she could extend the landing legs without the 1 second time delay, which may or may not cause this thing to topple over. So once, okay, everything is loaded, we are set, ready to go. There's the thunk of gravity taking hold, and we're just going to switch over to Nancy Kennedy here. All right, so whenever you're ready, unhook the pipe, unlink, switch vessel. Oh, switch. Okay, good. Here we are. Oh, of course, on the wrong side. Oh no, it's tipping, it's tipping! Extend! Come on! Oh, is the engine bell going to be enough? And maybe clipping through a wheel. Upright. Whew. Alright. Lunar River 2 is back to serviceable condition. Thank God. Now it's time to unhook this pipe because I'm willing to bet it is now the root part. And that is going to cause huge problems when trying to fly this thing. So I'd like to unhook this. Nope. It is root part. So, oh, no, we can't. If we grab the crate, even, it's wanting to pick up the whole thing and detaches grade. Well, that's very interesting. Can't detach the crate. Can we detach? We can detach the mounting bracket. I wonder if that will detach the bracket from the ship or the crate from the bracket. Alright, well, let's try this. Grab. Too heavy. Yeah, we can't put just the crate in her inventory because it wants to take the whole ship with it. So I guess this is our option. Detach. And, oh yeah, that's right. All the life support stuff on the Lunar Uber is locked. So spacesuit has about 12 hours, so she'll be alright. But we should probably maybe get her out of there. Our pilot, anyway. There we go. Alright. EVA. And, yeah, let's, let you not fall on your compadre's head there. RCS to arm. Slightly around the helmet. Nails it. And we're just going to move her out of the way temporarily so that we can get back to business here. Now we can grab just the port. That's good. But it takes the entire crate with it. That is super interesting. So I wonder if we reattach it. Now, I'm very curious if it's going to cause some kind of fatal game crash if we detach the root part and put it inside its child part. If that can even be a thing. I'm really wondering what in this scenario is going to invite the Kraken and what is going to deroot that pipe connector as root part. Yeah, see now it's, if I grab it by the connector, it's taking the crate with it. So let's just grab the crate. No, we can't detach it. This is interesting. All right. Nope. Cannot put part with children into inventory. So, grab the crate. Oh, and the port falls off. Excellent. Now we should be able to grab the port. Bingo. Whew. Kraken averted. I mean, I hope. There's a chance we could put this crate back on and it will become the root part, but I guess we'll figure that out when we go to launch. And if it is, well, we're just going to leave the crate here because it's a whole lot easier than trying to mess with a bunch of this other stuff. All right, inventory. Let's go ahead and leave the pipe thing there just to make sure we have it for next time. And it's time to go back inside because, well, that was resoundingly successful, I'd say. We got rid of our old resupply pod. We fixed the Lunar Uber. We were able to hopefully reroute its part. And everybody is happy and alive and no one got smushed. That's a good day. And it's time to get back doing research. Well, first, we need to rename this back to Lunar Uber 2. There we go. Excellent. All right, and now get back to work, everybody. You got lots of data to chew through. And moving swiftly along, and this is part of the more mundane part of the space program, but necessary nonetheless. This is a DN5 with the 3 engine boosters, RD-172s all the way around, for hauling much heavier things to orbit. We did kind of prototype out something kind of like this in the live stream last week, but we'll get to some of that a little later as it becomes more pertinent. This is just another Victor resupply pod for Rosalina Memorial Station, because we have like 3 launch windows for many different missions coming up in very short succession, timed expertly for exactly when the crew is going to be running out of supplies. So we're just running them this supply pod early to keep them all fed and breathing while the space program handles some other things. Now, we do have quite an impressive TWR with this massive booster setup, but as soon as they're gone, we're down to .80, despite, well, I guess I was trying to limit some of the throttle some of the time. It didn't quite work. There's fairing SEP down and away. I really need to action group these solar panels and these antennas. I've forgotten to do that at least 10 times now, so reminding myself here on voiceover really isn't going to do anybody any good. We've established that. Anyway, we're going to try to adjust our relative inclination, keep it as low as possible, and then we're going to have to start pitching way the hell up, because I screwed up this ascent. I'm just not used to this vehicle yet. I could probably get it a whole lot better, but for the time being, we've got all the Delta Vs to spare. We're just going to go ahead and get way above horizon, try to stretch out that time to apogee as long as we can. Really, if you can get it down to a couple of tenths of a second and then balance it out on that number, I think that's absolutely ideal. And it's just how well do you know how your rocket flies, and how well can you feel out that TWR to get it there? The answer for me is sometimes I'm on point, most days I am very much not. So we're actually just going to try to preserve as much Delta V from this core stage as we can, which means firing closer to our prograde vector and letting the rocket fall back to Earth, if ever just so slightly. We've already kind of crossed the point where we are not getting to orbit on the core stage, which makes this a uniquely bad launch for this DN5 series vehicle and for me as someone flying it. Really, when you get the whole upper stage to orbit just on the core, that's kind of what this rocket was built to do, and so I've kind of failed on at least 2 metrics. There's a stage SEP, core's down and away, solid light on the HG3. We'll go ahead and get our solar panels extended and our radiators turned on. This is the L variant of the B upper stage, which means it packs radiators to help cryogenically cool some of that liquid hydrogen. The bottom tank is a service module type instead of just a standard or balloon tank, which means after it makes this push to the moon, after 1 orbit, hopefully it will be able to keep enough of that liquid hydrogen on board so that it can at least start the orbital insertion on the back of that HG3 instead of using the service engine on the resupply pod, which has a runtime of about 8 minutes. And if you push much past that, yeah, it gets messy. It just pray you don't accidentally land on something. So we've made our lap, we've angled into our node, we've got a second good light on that HG3, 3 ignitions remaining for that engine. Everything goes well, we'll only actually use 1 of them, and that's good enough for me. We're going to give it a little assist from the RCS, just to really dump some of that fuel from the back, and that moonrise across the horizon, I wish I would have saved more of that, because it is absolutely gorgeous. The way it changed from red and then to silver, glowing there, hanging in the sky, inviting us, saying, hey, come hang out. I miss you guys. Where you been? You've been ignoring me, except for 5 or something previous episodes within the last month or so. But anyway, this stage performs admirably. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. walking cleanly through its intended burn. We do throttle it down just a little bit here as we cross into the sub 100 meter per second territory and overshoot. Not that it's a big deal. It doesn't really matter which side of the moon we come in on, just so long as we get in nice and low. And for some reason, the computer here has decided that it's just going to point in whatever direction it wants, despite being given absolutely no directive to do so. So on the back of RCS, we will touch up our approach, dial it in, plot ourselves a node, and that will be that. We're mostly empty on our primary tank. Most of that's going to boil off, but that's where we're going to have to leave it for this episode, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it, and I will see all of you in the next one. So until then, see you later. All right, so very small addendum because I actually had time to do this just as I was getting ready to put this episode into post of this supply pod landing. So I hope you don't mind this little after bit tacked on, or addendum, maybe continuation, or something like that. I've sped it up a whole lot because I know these supply runs get tedious and repetitive, and you've all seen it like 30 or 40 times, but I do feel like it's necessary to show you everything that's going on with the space program, just so I'm not leaving out any details or just glossing over things that really, I guess we could be hand-waving. Anyway, we had a successful burn on the B upper stage. The HC-3 fired flawlessly and ran through its supply of fuel, getting us into a pretty low orbit when I noticed that we are on a pretty much dead line for Rosalina Memorial Station. So the order was given to go ahead and deorbit immediately. We're going to do a zero orbit pass this supply run, which is something we haven't really been able to do in quite a while. Lots of fidgeting with nodes from map view, trying to get the telemetry or trajectory to line up correctly so that we pass directly overhead, and then a big braking burn from our ELE experimental engine, killing off most of our speed. We do turn it off, turn it back on again several times. The engine is throttleable, but that's really just for final descent. Since it has such a limited runtime, we're carrying so much fuel, it's hard to stay under that runtime. Any time spent not at full throttle is just runtime being wasted. And there's our targeting reticle for Rosalina Memorial Station, as we are making a solid approach onto it. And we'll kill off most of our actual speed here as we're going to try to get ourselves lined up for a solid descent, replotting that node several times here and there, over and over again, and then again and again and again. But we do have a very solid approach. We're going to come down right on top of it. So this is our final burn, hopefully. I mean, I know we're going to shut the engine off a couple more times, but as far as alignment and braking, now it's just falling and fine-tuning that we need to worry about. So we'll shift ourselves over just a little bit to control our descent. A little too much, so we'll lay it on its side, shut the engine down, and then start the process all over again. Now, we were coming in vaguely on one side, overcorrected. We end up shifting to the other side after just a little bit of climbing and slightly shutting the engine down too soon, but touchdown and well within range. So for real this time, that's going to do it for this episode, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one.